It began as the Clinton machine, a seemingly invincible political force boosted by a former commander-in-chief, her husband. But now Hillary has become somewhat of an underdog in the race for the Democratic nomination. Barack Obama surging toward the Democratic convention, making primaries in Texas and Ohio a make or break for the Clinton camp. Michael Barone is a senior writer for U.S. News and World Report. Bob Beckel is a Democratic strategist. Good to see you both.
You too.
Nice to be with you.
All right, Michael, I got to bring this one to you first because the Clinton campaign, known more as the Clinton machine, sort of the top-down approach in campaign style. Obviously, that was not working necessarily against Barack Obama, who many say was doing just the opposite, coming from the grassroots up.
Well, if you remember, back in 1991-92, Bill Clinton didn't get into the presidential race until October of 91. He didn't have time to do a lot of organization. He was running against a relatively weak field, and he managed to get his publicity machine working out, overcame the problems with Jennifer Flowers and so on. From there on out in Clinton campaigns, he's had the power of the White House, the fundraising prowess that you get from the Lincoln bedroom going for him, and they used those big contributions, big contributors, hit him again for Hillary Clinton this year at a record-breaking pace. The only problem is Barack Obama did a lot more, went through the internet, raised an awful lot more money from more contributors.
Right.
Many of them haven't maxed out. He can get more. And he's been organizing those post-Feb 5th states in a way that the Clintons didn't. They figured they'd have the nomination locked up. That proved to be a miscalculation.
Bob, so much talk about Barack Obama's oratory skills. But will it be his organizational skills that will ultimately be the key to this candidacy?
Well, I think it's a combination of both. Look, I've had a front runner myself that I managed in 1984. Front runners tend to believe they're going to get these things over early, so they put their resources heavily into the front end of the processes, which we did. And then once an insurgent comes along and knocks you off, you're not in a position, financially or organizationally, to necessarily catch up. Now, in our case, we went on to win, but I can tell you this, the Clintons were not at all prepared for after February 5th, as Michael said. But if you look at where Barack Obama has picked up his biggest number of delegates by spread between Clinton and him, it's been in caucus states.
Right.
And this was his decision to go to these small states. The Clinton people kind of dismissed them, but take a look at the numbers. When she wins a state like New York, but only wins it by 50 or 60 delegates, he takes 4 or 5 tiny states and wins them by 50 or 60 delegates in caucuses. That'll tell you a lot. And by the way, just make clear about one thing. Texas, although it is a primary, it's a beauty contest, it's a caucus state. I've done it before. 9,000 plus caucuses on one day. It is very heavily favorable for somebody who knows how to organize.
All right, so that would lead to Barack Obama. I have to ask you, Michael, though, about this strategy, because I think we saw this strategy before last month with Rudy Giuliani, putting all the eggs in the basket. We're talking about Florida. Now we see similar strategy for Hillary Clinton, Texas, Ohio.
Well, I think they're doing a little head faking with us. And they're saying we're waiting for Ohio and Texas March 4th. They're currently leading in polls for Ohio and Texas, but as we've seen, the poll leads aren't etched in stone. Bob, I think the Texas, they elect, some delegates are elected in the primary and some about half in the caucuses.
Yeah, that's correct. That's right.
Yeah, but Clinton is also close in Wisconsin, which is going to be held next Tuesday, February 19th. She's only been trailing 4 or 5% in the polls. The upscale voters in Wisconsin don't have very many Democratic primary voters. If you look at Ozaukee, Waukesha, Washington counties outside of Milwaukee, you'll see those people have kept voting Republican. They haven't been voting Democratic. So white Democratic primary voters, unlike Virginia and Maryland, where they tend to be quite upscale people,
right,
are rather more downscale, the kind of demographic that Hillary Clinton has been carrying. I wouldn't write her off totally in Wisconsin.
Okay.
I gather she's headed out there now.
Bob, I got to ask you this one because I know you had something to do with the whole superdelegate thing. In the end, if it comes down to the superdelegates, will the Clinton machine be back in order?
Well, that's where their machine, if you want to call it that, probably has some advantages. But look, you had John Lewis, who left Clinton, the black congressman from Georgia, who went over to Barack Obama. It's going to be very difficult. Superdelegates follow where the wind blows, and it's very difficult to go against where your constituency has been in a primary. I think it's inconceivable. By my count, he'll be ahead by 100 plus, 150 plus delegates that he wins, pledged delegates in these contests. I think superdelegates are going to have a harder time going against that, even despite their relationship with the Clintons. And also, can you imagine many people in the Black Caucus, of which there are 40-some, how many of them are going to be willing to go against the grain and be with Clinton? I don't think so.
All right. Fascinating conversation. Michael Barone, Bob Beckel, thanks for joining me for a Friday.
You're welcome.
Thank you.